Hello and welcome to the Believe Show. Today our guest is Valorie Burton, and let me tell you a few things about her before we get started. So Valorie Burton's amazing, and I'm thrilled to tell you some things about her. This is her website if you were to go to it, valorieburton.com. She's an author, she's an entrepreneur. She's just a really, really thoughtful coach, and a lot of people rely on things that she says. She also runs the CAP Institute, which is a coaching training intensive for professional coaches. It's superb. I know lots of people that have gone through her program. They're amazing coaches. And then the other thing that you should know about Valorie Burton before we start is she is the author of a huge number of books. And if you haven't read her books, you should go out and get 3. Start with the 3 that most seem like your kind of thing. I happen to have her latest here, but I have a house full of Valorie Burton books, so I'm a big fan. Hi, Val.
Hi, Cynia. I'm one of your biggest fans, so thank you.
Very, very cool. Valorie, we're going to start with, what is it that you believe to be true that others may not agree with you about?
Okay, I got to figure out how to word this, but this comes up a lot because I get asked about it a lot, and I think one of the things that people believe is that they have to, if they are a person of faith, that they have to hide that in order to be successful in the professional realm or the corporate realm. And I haven't done that. And I like it that way.
So tell me, what is it that you do for those people who are silly people who haven't read your books? Can you give a sense of how you combine the science and the faith, both?
Well, mostly it's in my books. I really believe that when we speak authentically from our voice and our own experience, and we do it in a way that is welcoming of people, that they see it, and I don't think it's offensive at all. So my mission is inspiring others to live more fulfilling lives. I had an epiphany about that back in 1999 and started writing almost right away. It was a few years later, because I think of my love of learning, that I was like, I guess there's an academic foundation for the coaching I had started doing. And that's when I discovered applied positive psychology. And so what I discovered is that the science really, I didn't find any results that were somehow opposed to my faith at all. In fact, it more validated it. And that was really exciting for me. So I think for me, I call what I do practical inspiration. It's like, I want people to be able to walk away with, here's what I should do next, based on what I know. So that means sometimes I'm speaking in a corporate environment, sometimes it might be a federal agency, sometimes it might be a church, and it's relevant in all of those places.
Do you make your talk the same when you keynote at a corporate environment or when you keynote at a church, or do you make that different?
I think the action, because I give a lot of takeaway, is the same. And when I'm describing the research, it's the same. But obviously, if I'm in a corporate environment, I'm not quoting scripture. Whereas when I'm in a church, I might, share the research and say, hey, look at this scripture, that these two things line up. I love being able to do that. And I think it's important because even in some faith environments, people don't, they don't honor science in the same way. And I'm like, these things are not, they don't need to be on opposite sides. They work together. And I feel very strongly about that.
Before we started, you said this is one of the most common questions that you get asked. Hey, Valorie Burton, you're writing these books, you're quoting tons of research, tons of positive psychology, but you're also quoting scripture. Well, why do you think people ask you this question so much?
Well, I think for some people, it's what they also desire to do, but it hasn't worked. And I think that part of that is just, you have to respect whichever environment that you're in. That's super, super important. And so obviously in a corporate environment, you've got to respect that you're not in a ministry environment. So I think that's really important. But then when you are in a faith environment, being able to address some of the things that people might be thinking and making sure they understand where you're coming from, I think is very important, because when you're in a church, people want to know that you are sharing their faith. You're sharing what it is that they believe. And so there's a trust factor there that I think is really important, that you're not just coming from a research perspective, but also from that spiritual perspective as well. So I think it is a fine line, but it's just, for me, it's just who I am. So I'm sharing from that perspective. And I'm just sharing. I'm not necessarily trying to convince. I'm saying this, here it is. Now it's for you to look at and make your own judgments. And so that's how I approach it.
And how did you come to this? How did you come to the belief that, look, I actually can do both. I can incorporate both into my writing and into my message. And at the same time, I can be respectful of the environment and do more Valorie this version here, more Valorie this other version here. How did you come to that belief?
When I used to be in public relations. I had a public relations firm. I lived in Dallas at the time, and I felt like I was good at what I did. I wasn't very passionate about it. I felt like there was something more or different. And so I prayed about it. Like, what is my purpose? For a couple of years. It's not like I prayed and bam, here you go. And so when I got that mission, of inspiring others, one of the things that came up for me is I was supposed to inspire others by writing and speaking. So I started writing, and I started thinking about like book titles and so forth. And I thought, who is the audience? Is it everybody, or am I speaking to people in a Christian audience? And I distinctly sensed that a part of my mission was simply addressing what was very practical, but not hiding who I am. So it was for me a journey of just showing up as I was, not showing up with any sort of an agenda, but just sharing. Like when I tell you how I found my mission, I literally found it by praying. So I say that, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just sharing my story. So I think that's a part of the approach that might be a little bit different.
So what you're saying is you're not going to say, hey, I actually found this by praying, but, and I wrote down all of these different research ways that I could come to my mission, and that's what it was. So you're sharing what's authentic to you, and right. Also the route that you found to get there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And what's one of the things that's really beautiful to me is when people come and say, I don't share your faith, but my goodness, I've gotten so much out of this book, or I've been following you for a long time, or even in a corporate environment where I'm not talking anything about faith, where someone of faith comes and just says, I can tell you're a person of faith. Oh, that's the biggest compliment. And it's not because of something I specifically said. It's like you're connecting spirit to spirit. And so those things are like confirmation to me.
Why do you think some people are skeptical about being able to do both?
I think people are afraid of being judged.
Either way, like being too researchy or being too faith-based.
Yeah, I think that one of our core fears is fear of disapproval and rejection. And so we're often taught to hide parts of ourselves in order to be accepted. And especially in a professional environment, you can't do this, you should do this, you should not do that. And so people can feel like there are rules that they absolutely must follow, or they're going to be completely rejected. I think what's important is understanding that we must respect everyone. So if you're going to be, like I said, in a corporate or government environment, you've got to respect the environment that you're in, and what they have to do and what their mission is. And I think we can do that. I don't think that's hard to do. I think it's important to do. And so it hasn't been, it's just kind of happened. I think that by the invitations that I've gotten over the years, it wasn't like I was, I need to speak for this type of organization or group. It just kind of was happening. And then people kept asking me, and I realized that it wasn't typical. I don't think I realized at first that I was doing anything that felt unusual at all.
Yeah. And you know what, the effect on me of what you're saying is that I, just like you said, there could be a little bit of fear of revealing both sides of yourself, but you've built it up and you've gone on it. So that as I listen to you, the quality that I'm hearing is bravery.
I don't even see I don't even see it.
Yeah. I kind of noticed that as a bravery of sort of like following your own authenticity, and you don't even see it as bravery. You're like, no, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Let me put up a comment by one of the people who finished your program. So Kim says, as a proud graduate, Valerie's authenticity was the main reason why she chose your program.
Wow, Kimberly, thank you. That's so wonderful to hear. And I'm so proud you're one of our graduates. It's always great to hear. So CPEC is our Certified Personal and Executive Coach program. If you're like, what the heck is CPEC?
So, okay, you've gone out and you've done this and you've kind of built it up both ways. So what is the effect now? Do people now think, all right, this is chill. Now we know that Valorie Burton is like this and she has both parts of her personality and authenticity and she presents it both.
I don't think, depending on which direction you're coming from or perspective, I don't think people think of it. I don't think, if I'm speaking corporately, that some people don't even know this element, right? So it's because I'm focused on what they need specifically, and that's what I do. And so I just don't think it's as big of an issue as we often think it is. Sometimes we see things as so separate that really aren't, because the core purpose here is helping people live more fulfilling lives, helping them get unstuck from their own fear, helping them have a clear purpose and build a vision from that purpose, and then create their goals from that purpose. Yeah. That's it.
And how you do it is how you do it.
Exactly.
Here's what Eileen says. She says, when you are so authentic, it probably doesn't feel brave because you can't be any other way.
I know that you believe it or not, when I talk about these core fears, fear of disapproval and rejection is actually my top one. That is my thing that I most have had to overcome. I used to keep my goals small so I didn't have to ask others for help, because I didn't want to be rejected or have to convince someone of my ideas. I would go to great lengths to not have to do anything that felt salesy, which might be why I used to do marketing. So I needed that marketing background. If I market really well, perhaps I won't have to sell, right? So it's interesting that the lengths that we'll go to sometimes to avoid the rejection, but there have to be some things that are so core to who you are and you're not willing to compromise on them, that it overcomes your greatest fears. And I think it's important for us to tap into what that is. And for me, that was understanding what my purpose is, how I'm supposed to impact the people that I cross paths with. And so I see my life as a laboratory, so that even when I do feel afraid, I'm like, what am I learning out of this? How could this teach me, and how could I teach it to somebody else?
We usually pause in the middle of our program to ask, as you are here with us with Valorie Burton, what is a takeaway you're starting to get from the things that we're talking about? So please feel free to type in your takeaways as I ask Valorie the next question. Valorie, you do so many different things. You're an author, you're an entrepreneur, you run a coaching program. What's on your horizon? What's something that you're excited about working on next?
Oh, okay. So I'm like been working on it today because we're almost there. But so I have created, 4 of my books, well, 3 of my books and a planner that we did have the term successful women in it. So the Successful Women Think Differently is my best-selling, and then Successful, you got the books there, and then Successful Women Speak Differently is my second best-selling book. And then last year, we re-released Life Coaching for Successful Women, and then there's a Successful Women Planner. So what I realize is that for so many people, they think it's about what steps you need to take to get to goals, which is important. But typically the reason we don't get to the goals is because there's an area where we need to grow so that we are able to stop sabotaging ourselves or getting out of our own way. We need a personal growth plan. So I've developed a program called the Successful Women's Academy. It's a monthly membership. specifically for professional women, for whom success is really important, to have that place where they are growing personally and working through those challenges that sometimes feel a little invisible because we might not even notice exactly what's getting in our way. So this is something I actually had come up with in 2016, and we didn't, I was too in my head, thinking too hard about it. 2020 has been the year, so we will get that off and running, and it will launch in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. This is an ongoing joke with my dad that I have an idea 5 years ago, and then I start to put it into action this year. And he said, "Oh, you can always rely on Senya. If she says she's going to get something done, she will get it done in her lifetime."
That's right. That's right. You check those things off. You go from one to the next. So you probably have some things this year, and we'll see them in 2025. It'll be fine.
One thing that we always ask here is, what is a thought that you would like to leave everybody with who's with us today? What's a takeaway that you might suggest?
Well, I talked a little bit about purpose. Purpose is really a compass. And while many of us know that, especially coaches, we understand that there's a reason we're here and we're trying to make this positive impact. I think most people, although they know they want to make an impact, don't come up with, this is it. And the one question I always love to ask is, how is someone's life better when they cross paths with you? If you can put that purpose in one sentence, it can be a compass for you when you're trying to make decisions, whether it's in relationships or your finances or your career, or even your health. And so, what is your purpose? Why are you here? How are others' lives better when they cross paths with you? How's your company better? Because you're in it. When you understand that, it helps you make the right decisions and take the right next steps. It makes that process a lot easier.
Yeah, just even Valerie, even this as a coach, you speak in such a way that it's almost a relief. How are people's lives better after they cross paths with you? And you can immediately start to, it's just the question that starts the thinking process, right?
Yes. And that was a question that just rolled out of my mouth in a coaching session, probably around 2007. And it was a client who'd been for years trying to figure out her mission. And when I asked her that question, she just answered it like she wasn't even thinking. She was just like that. And ever since then, I have used it. And it's amazing to me how people will just tell you and then tell you, but I don't know how to say that. And you're like, you just said it.
That's a cool observation. Let me share with you a couple of other things that people are sharing. So someone is saying, people are saying they love this, specifically this question. Everybody's saying that. So all the comments are that everybody, I'm going to put the banner. This is your question. Everybody is saying this. And one person is also saying they work with 3 of your coaches who have completed your program, and they think, as in a coaching group, and they think your coaches are amazing and very heart-centered.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we are heart-centered. It's true. I am blown away by the people who show up in our program. They are just, not only are they smart and they work hard, but they are just so full of love for wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And a love of learning, which I think is so important for success. And, this year we've had people, I can't remember how many countries, but I think we've had at least 4 continents this year. We had to take our in-person part of our program online, and I was so scared. People are going to be mad. They're not going to come. And the opposite happened. Here's my chair rolling away. The opposite happened. So that's been really neat to see people as far away as Kuwait and South Africa and Kenya and England, Canada. Not Canada's not far away, but just seeing people from all over being a part of it. But that's really encouraging to hear that you're working with 3 of our graduates.
And our concluding question is always, if you could snap your fingers and almost everyone in the world were to take an action, what action would you want that to be?
What a great question, Senya. I would want, this is going to sound so cliche. I truly believe that love can conquer all challenges. And I think we're living in a world so full of fear. Even when I look on social media and watch how people talk to each other, it's all fear. They think it's power, but it's fear. So their action would be one thing that's in the direction of love in the area that right now is most challenging for them. I'd love to see what that would do in one fell swoop, 7 billion people.
And action of love in the area that is most challenging for them.
Yeah, it's easy to love. Like, it's easy to love people that love you. It's easy to love, people who agree with you. But what if your action was, I don't agree with you politically. I don't like how you voted. But my action of love is that I'm going to sit here and really listen, like I'm being empathetic, like I'm going to pretend for a moment I've walked this world in your shoes. Now, how will I respond? It doesn't mean that suddenly I'm going to feel exactly the same way, but maybe I'm giving you a little bit of benefit of the doubt and just trying to have some empathy to understand. And if I do just a little of that, maybe I can't hate you or be so mad at you or judge you in quite the same way.
Yeah. I think it's powerful, the words you used, love towards the most challenging direction.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. And, we started out talking about faith, and that is what it is. Yes, it's easy to hate your enemy. And it's easy to love the people that you love. What's hard is loving your enemy. So that's how we grow. We do the things that are hard and we do them with love. And I think if there was more of that, we'd have a completely different world.
We do the things that are hard and we do them with love.
Yeah. We're not cursing them out. We say the hard thing, but we... When you're talking on the phone, just smile while you say it. No,
just kidding.
I don't agree with that idea.
But say more. Everybody is loving what you're saying. Everybody is loving about the crossing paths, and everybody is talking about love being stronger than fear.
It is.
Thank you so much, Valorie.
Thank you, Cynthia. Oh my gosh, I love these conversations that you've been having, and I appreciate you inviting me to be a part of it.
Awesome to be with you. All the best. Thank you, everyone.